the next trend with an exciting experience to follow, but first, to enlighten us as only he can, it's a pleasure to introduce Ari Peralta. He's the director and founding partner of Arigami. Please welcome Ari Peralta to tell us about multisensory integration.
So thank you everyone for being here. And before I start on my trend, I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge Susie and Nancy, Catherine, Beth, who continue to open doors for new diverse voices to be part of the global wellness community. There's something really interesting about all the trends that we've seen thus far. One, they involve humans, and two, the senses play a critical role in each one of the trends that have been outlined this year thus far. Advances in neuroscience and neuroaesthetics continue to expand our understanding of how the senses work, how we work as people. I want you to think of the senses, not just light, sound, touch, scent, and taste, but I want you to think of the full human experience. It's multisensory, just like nature. And I think what we're learning today is that wellness and multisensory design is vastly evolving how we approach wellness design, whether it's experiences, whether it's deepening meditation, whether it's creating new spa activities, or whether it's just designing safer, healthier, wellness-driven cities and communities. In the field of wellness, the senses has always played a very key role, right? We associate wellness music with sound. We associate, obviously, temperature has come up a lot, which is also a sense. But what's really fueling this trend and what makes us unique this year is that after 3 years of pandemic, we're tired of being on the screen. We're tired of being in, let's say, screen mode, and we're in a deep desire and need to be in feel mode, in feeling mode. The senses, sensation is a system in the body. And I truly think that hopefully from this year forward, we might even look at this as another dimension in wellness. Why? We're experiencing a sensory health crisis. Think about it. Children, babies, pretty much everybody in this room as well, we are all under sensory overload, right? A huge mix of unnecessary signals that's bombarding our mind. But when we look at the other side of the spectrum, including our senior communities, including those living with Alzheimer's and dementia, what we're seeing is the opposite, sensory underload, where some really interesting sensory touch points could make a big difference. Now, how does this trend change from sensory design in the past? In the past, we've looked at one single modality at a time. What can scent do? What can temperature do? What can sound do? And what we're understanding, thanks to incredible researchers such as Charles Spence from the University of Oxford, David Eagleman from Stanford, all the way to our new board member, Dr. Anya Chatterjee from University of Pennsylvania. These incredible researchers are advancing our understanding that there is something called the multisensory effect. And when you combine more than one sense and you do it right, in other words, it meets the expectations of the person experiencing it, you have a greater, deeper result. Not only is it better for your brain, but you actually experience the full experience as it's meant to be. Now, we're starting to see beyond that research validation, which we have over 100 academic papers in one link listed on our trend report, we're starting to see this offer a new opportunity for non-wellness brands, retail brands, to start inviting people to participate in wellness. We're seeing incredible and intriguing pairs, for example, Bulgari with Rafiq Anadol, who's an incredible digital data artist who's exhibiting currently at MoMA. I implore you to please go visit, because one of the new multisensory experiences he's created was done shortly after we submitted this trend. We're seeing companies like Lego create mindful noise and white noise solutions for kids and families using their own products. In addition to that, we're also seeing other companies like manufacturer Kimball International, who furnishes most of the hospitals and workplaces here in North America, take an interest in how and what role does multisensory integration and the senses play in our health. Now, going back to the heart of wellness and currently looking at the evolution of spa experiences, not only all the ones mentioned today, but also we're seeing incredible nature effect combinations with organizations like Habitus and Alula in Saudi Arabia, really creating new experiences where the sensory elements of nature are actually being brought indoors. Ultimately, we're living 93, 94% of our lives in some kind of space, whether it's a car, whether it's a building, whether it's an office. We have an incredible opportunity to start looking at nature, the magnificent multisensory machine, to drive better behavior. I want to focus on that real quick on behavior, because for the most part, we've approached sensory design almost as leaving a sensory signature for a brand. And what we're starting to see evolve in this trend is that we're starting to see brands take it to the next level. It's not just about leaving an impression, it's about creating the patterns and steps for behavioral change. Now, what's interesting is that the senses can distract us, but they can also comfort us. They can also guide us. And all you have to think about is, think of what music you use to pump you when you go to the gym, or to pick up your spirit when you're down. What we're understanding is that when you combine these things, we're starting to see personalized recipes create a bigger difference. We're also starting to see a new opportunity to deepen meditation with incredible companies merging technologies and elevating, again, the human senses through VR. For example, Trip VR, who I think is now close to $20 million in raising funds, which is incredible for a VR company. We're also starting to see other organizations like OVR experiment with scent and include that in new types of sensory therapeutics, which I think is going to be a huge trend. Again, we're already seeing this across all the other trends. Another one of my favorites is Brainboat, using color and sound literally to get your mind off of whatever's keeping you stuck. So we're starting to see the senses as a tool for greater cognition, for greater connection, but also for comfort. When we get into physical and mental health conditioning, we're seeing some of global wellness alums like Sanctum, who I just got back from Amsterdam. We had 250 athletes, and this was an intense workout, 2.5-hour workout. We were using the senses in particular moments to distract the brain from pain to, oh, what is that scent that's going on? What is that sound that's going on? You see, pain is also a sense. There are other senses that we're discovering, like interoception, which is the sense of feeling your own body, and have a great potential for amplifying what we do here in wellness. We're seeing incredible researchers like Dr. Li Huese, the director of the Mind-Brain Institute at MIT, using combinations of light and sound to treat dementia and Alzheimer's. Finally, we're starting to see synesthesia and other, let's say, neurological conditions, which we're getting inspired to see how we can shift or influence sensory perception. We're starting to see this with organizations like Reality Center Management in Santa Monica, Chromosonic, which I believe you see right there on the screen, and also Mike Cocoon, who's been working with organizations like Six Senses in Dordo Valley, in Kapankaya, Turkey, creating new ways for us to experience food and hopefully driving us to eat healthier food using sensory seasonings. What I'm most interested and excited about is that multisensory integration gives us an opportunity to elevate quality of life. And while we may talk a lot about quantity of life and incredible research on extending our cell life, you know, for me, this is personal. 4 years ago, I was undergoing cancer. And, you know, like many of us in this room who've gone through some kind of chronic illness, we know that the atmospherics of the environment and where we're healing play a key role. We have a unique opportunity to leverage technology to help us better understand what are our sensory profiles so that we can actually deliver personalized wellness, which will really change the face of wellness moving forward. Artists like Krista Kim, who've taken over all the screens in Times Square last year to create a moment of mindfulness, all the way to people like I mentioned earlier, Rafik Anadol, to new players in the game, in the metaverse, like Kathy Hackle, who are really challenging us to see the metaverse as an opportunity to build well and wellness. Finally, I think it's interesting to see the role the senses will continue to play in this new era of gamified wellness, where we're introducing different types of gaming platforms such as Deepwell, giving us an opportunity to elevate again through the senses and our behavior. Thank you.
So I know we're running a little bit late, but you have to read the trend. It's packed with mind-blowing possibilities in the future. It's interesting. Wellness has always been about the senses, but it has been very stuck in the sense of the same kinds of singular, not blended, not for the most part, experiences. So, I think you use the word sensory wellness. Is this a category? Do you think this is a category that will become part of a vocabulary, like an actual, in the sense of a market, a field, a study, a field of study?
Yes, absolutely yes. And I think when we look at the different sensory conditions that we're experiencing, when we're looking at the increase in attention deficit disorder diagnosis, in autism, in dementia, and in Alzheimer's, yes, we are definitely having an opportunity to look at sensory health, another layer of wellness, which is invisible, and we've always touched upon it.